What happens when the image of loyalty, the gold standard of Black love, begins to crumble in front of millions? Tonight, whispers are turning into full-blown headlines as fans question whether Papoose, once celebrated as the man who stood by Remy Ma through her darkest days, is now caught in a web of secrets, denial, and something far more scandalous. The world has watched him play the role of perfect husband, the man who never strayed, never faltered, never left her side. But new reports suggest cracks are spreading across that carefully polished image. And lurking behind the shadows of this breakdown is a name no one expected. Mendeecees. Rumors swirling through the industry hint that Mendeecees may have played a secret role in the unraveling of Remy and Papoose's picture-perfect union. Is he just a friend caught in the crossfire? Or is there something deeper? Something more explosive that ties him to the chaos? Fans are demanding answers and emotions are running high as speculation spreads like wildfire across social media. One thing is certain, this isn't just about a marriage in trouble. It's about betrayal, image, and the dangerous secrets that could change everything. Under the soft glow of a stage light, the image of loyalty once seemed unshakable. Papoose was that man who never bent, never wavered, and stood tall whenever his wife's name was mentioned. People had built him into a living monument of devotion. Yet behind the cameras, behind the carefully framed smiles, something much darker was brewing. Insiders whispered that his silence in public was not calmness, but a mask covering deep fractures that had long been spreading through his world. The revelation came slowly in fragments. Friends of Remy admitted in hushed tones that she no longer believed in the fairy tale she had once sold to the fans. Their love, she said privately, was more about the brand than the bond. The shock didn't stop there. Social media pages began picking up clues about the cracks. Screenshots, vague posts, and cryptic captions told a story of distance, of two people locked in the same house but living completely separate lives. One insider claimed that since early 2022, they had not even shared a bed. Fans dismissed it at first, but then came the live session where Remy herself dropped hints, letting slip that the famous push gift everyone thought Papoose had given her was in fact bought with her own money. The illusion of the perfect husband began to peel away like wallpaper in an abandoned room. The emotional storm surrounding the couple grew heavier when Mendeecees suddenly entered the conversation. He was supposed to be on the sidelines, dealing with his own family drama. Yet whispers placed him closer to Remy than anyone expected. A backstage photo, a casual laugh, a few seconds of eye contact captured on camera. Fans turned it into a wildfire of speculation. Was it innocent friendship, or was there a layer of intimacy that could explain the sudden change in Papoose's behavior? The theories poured in, each more explosive than the last. One night, during a quiet family gathering, tensions reportedly boiled over. A friend who claimed to be present said Papoose confronted Remy in a hushed but heated exchange. Why him? Why let him in when you know what it does to me? His voice, trembling with both anger and desperation, echoed through the apartment. Remy, always sharp with her words, snapped back, "Don't blame Mendeecees for what's broken between us. You built this image so high that you can't breathe outside of it. I'm tired of being part of your performance." The room fell into silence, the weight of their truth crashing down harder than any rumor ever could. Family members later shared their confusion. Some sided with Remy, arguing that she had carried too much for too long, funding not only her own life but also supporting Papoose's household during her incarceration. Others held on to the old narrative of loyalty, claiming Remy was ungrateful for the sacrifices Papoose made. This division echoed across social media where hashtags began trending and fans took sides. People who once shouted about Black love now argued about betrayal, image, and manipulation. Mendeecees, meanwhile, stayed quiet publicly, but his silence only fueled the fire. Every move he made was dissected. When he was spotted without Yandy at a small industry event, rumors spiked again. Bloggers suggested he was with Remy, even though no clear photos surfaced. Speculation became reality in the minds of fans hungry for drama. Soon, the question wasn't whether something had happened, but how deep it ran. Behind closed doors, Papoose reportedly struggled with denial. Friends claimed he refused to move his belongings out of the home he shared with Remy, even when she asked. He delayed speaking to lawyers, delayed filing papers, delayed admitting that the chapter was closing. His entire sense of worth had been tied to being the perfect partner, and losing that role felt like losing himself. People close to him said he often stared blankly at old photos, his face locked in quiet pain. Yet even as his private world crumbled, his public image tried to remain intact. He appeared on live streams smiling, cracking jokes, pretending as if nothing had shifted. Fans noticed, though. The laughter seemed forced, the glow dimmed. They pointed out that loyalty without connection looked more like obsession, and devotion without truth turned into performance. The man who once symbolized unbreakable love now looked like a ghost clinging to his own shadow. Remy, on the other hand, appeared freer, lighter even in her recent appearances. She laughed more openly, dressed more boldly, and didn't hesitate to mention her independence. In one candid moment, she said, "Sometimes loyalty isn't about staying. It's about letting go when you're no longer happy." Her words struck hard. Fans interpreted them as a final dismissal of the image that had kept her tied down. But the whispers involving Mendeecees did not fade. Some claimed Remy leaned on him during her toughest days, that his presence offered her a kind of support she no longer felt from Papoose. Others suggested that the bond was strictly platonic, that the industry was twisting their connection into a scandal for clicks. Regardless of the truth, the perception had already taken root. Once fans smelled smoke, they demanded fire. Papoose's reaction, when asked about Mendeecees in a private conversation with a friend, was reportedly telling. He lowered his head, clenched his fists, and muttered, "Of all people, why did it have to be him?" The pain wasn't just about possible betrayal, but about what Mendeecees represented. Another man from the same circle, another figure in the same world, stepping into the space where Papoose once stood proudly. It cut deeper than any stranger ever could. Rumors intensified when a tabloid claimed that during a late-night after-party, Remy and Mendeecees were seen talking closely in a corner, away from prying eyes. No photos confirmed it, but the story alone was enough to stir chaos. Fans flooded comment sections accusing, defending, demanding answers. And through it all, Remy refused to confirm or deny, leaving the silence to do its own damage. Meanwhile, Yandy's name began to surface in the storm. People speculated about her reaction, about what she thought of the whispers involving her husband. Some claimed she unfollowed Remy on social media, while others dismissed it as a glitch. Still, the idea of a brewing feud between two women who once stood side by side electrified the narrative even further. The industry thrived on the chaos. Podcasts dissected every clip, bloggers spun every detail, and fans created entire timelines of possible events. Each twist fueled the next, turning the story into a saga bigger than the music itself. The narrative was no longer just about a marriage ending. It was about reputations, friendships, and the fragile walls between public image and private truth. Inside the storm, Papoose reportedly reached his breaking point. One night, during a late rehearsal, he was overheard venting to a close friend. "They think I'm unbothered, but I'm drowning. I gave her everything, and now they got me looking like a fool." The words revealed the wound he tried so hard to hide. For a man who built his legacy on being the one who never gave up, the idea of losing to whispers to another man was unbearable. But what made the pain sharper was the thought that maybe Remy was already gone long before the rumors. Maybe Mendeecees wasn't the cause of the cracks, but simply a reminder. Pap's circle of friends noticed a change in him. He had always been calm, always measured, but now he seemed restless, pacing rooms, clenching his jaw, muttering to himself. One night, after a studio session, he reportedly broke down in front of a longtime friend. "I held her down when the world forgot about her," he said through gritted teeth. "And now they're trying to make it look like I was the fool all along." His friend tried to reassure him, but the bitterness in Pap's voice was undeniable. Remy, however, moved with an almost unsettling calm. Fans noticed her appearing at events with a glow they hadn't seen in years. She laughed easily, posed confidently, and seemed immune to the chaos erupting online. During an interview, when asked about the rumors, she smirked and said, "People gonna believe what they want. I don't owe nobody my truth." The clip spread like wildfire, fueling even more debate. Some said she was hiding something, others said she was simply done explaining herself. Either way, her refusal to deny the speculation only made things worse for Pap. Mendeecees' silence became its own kind of statement. The longer he said nothing, the more people read into it. Every post he made, every appearance without Yandy, every casual laugh with industry friends was dissected. When a fan page posted a throwback picture of him and Remy at a past award show, the comments section exploded with theories. "They've been vibing since back then," one wrote. Another added, "This just proves what's happening now." Whether the theories held water didn't matter. Perception had already shifted. Yandy, meanwhile, found herself dragged into the storm unwillingly. Fans began tagging her in comments, asking how she felt about the whispers surrounding her husband. Some claimed she unfollowed Remy, others insisted she hadn't. But the narrative of tension between the two women was too juicy for the internet to ignore. Gossip pages ran headlines suggesting a quiet feud was brewing, adding fuel to the fire without a single concrete fact. For Pap, the weight of it all became suffocating. Insiders claimed he began canceling appearances, choosing to stay home rather than face questions. When he did show up, he wore the mask of loyalty, still smiling, still speaking about family values, but those closest to him said his eyes betrayed the truth. "He's unraveling," one insider confessed. "He can't handle seeing his image fall apart. It's not just about losing Remy, it's about losing who he thought he was." The industry wasn't kind. Podcasts mocked him, memes portrayed him as the man who clung too tightly, and fans debated whether his loyalty was genuine devotion or just insecurity. One viral post read, "Papoose ain't in love with Remy. He in love with the image of being the perfect man." That line spread like wildfire, cutting deep into the legacy he had spent years building. Remy's mother reportedly confronted Pap during a private gathering. "She gave you years of her life," she said sternly. "And you gave her loyalty? Yes, but sometimes loyalty ain't enough. Sometimes it becomes a chain." Witnesses said Pap sat silently, unable to respond, tears welling in his eyes. It was the kind of moment that stripped away the public image and left only a broken man behind. Meanwhile, Mendeecees was spotted at a charity event, and though Remy wasn't present, the rumors wouldn't let go. Fans claimed they saw him on the phone, smiling in a way that suggested he was speaking to her. No proof existed, but the story took off anyway. Screenshots, blurry photos, and half-heard conversations were enough to keep the speculation alive. The drama escalated when Remy posted a cryptic message online. "Sometimes people think they know your story, but they don't even know the first chapter." Fans immediately linked it to Pap and the ongoing scandal. Some even suggested it was a jab at Yandy, igniting further speculation that Remy and Yandy's friendship had fractured beyond repair. Pap's breaking point reportedly came during a late-night conversation with Remy. According to an insider, he begged her to clarify the rumors, to clear his name, to give him back the dignity he felt was slipping away. "Just say it's not true," he pleaded, his voice cracking. Remy, cool and composed, allegedly replied, "You care more about what people think than about what we've become." "That's the problem, Pop. It was always about the image for you." Those words cut deeper than any rumor ever could. Fans began taking sides more fiercely than ever. Hashtags like #TeamPap and #TeamRemy trended simultaneously, dividing the internet into warring camps. Celebrities chimed in, some praising Pap's loyalty, others defending Remy's right to move on. And in the middle of it all, Mendeecees remained silent, his absence louder than any statement he could have made. But silence doesn't erase suspicion. Every time Remy smiled, every time Mendeecees appeared in public, the whispers grew louder. Fans no longer saw Pap as unbreakable. They saw a man clinging to a story while the world moved on without him. And in that painful gap between reality and perception, the image of black love they had built together continued to shatter, piece by fragile piece. Pap's struggle didn't stop there. As the weeks went by, the tension around his marriage to Remy and the whispers about Mendeecees began shaping into something darker, something heavier. People who once looked up to him now questioned if he was truly the symbol of strength he portrayed, or just another man unraveling under pressure. The more he tried to hold on, the more the internet seemed determined to rip his grip away. Behind closed doors, Pap was described as sleepless, restless, pacing the house at night. One insider claimed he started replaying old interviews, watching clips of himself praising Remy, almost as if he was trying to remind himself of the man he once was. But those same clips circulating online were now being twisted. Fans mocked his devotion, saying it looked less like love and more like desperation. Remy, meanwhile, continued to project confidence. She showed up at events flawless, walking carpets like nothing was wrong. But her silence only deepened the wounds. When asked about her marriage, she gave vague answers, dodging specifics, smiling in a way that made people believe there was more to the story. Some fans defended her, saying she deserved happiness, but others slammed her for letting Pap suffer in public while she thrived in private. Mendeecees' role in the chaos grew murkier. One night, a blurry video surfaced showing him stepping out of a lounge with a woman who looked strikingly like Remy from the back. Though the clip was grainy and inconclusive, the internet didn't care. It exploded. Blogs ran headlines declaring, "Remy and Mendeecees spotted together again," even though there was no proof. Pap, upon seeing the clip, reportedly lost his composure, slamming his phone against the wall. "They want to make me look like a clown," he shouted, according to someone close to him. Yandy wasn't spared either. Fans began attacking her online, accusing her of ignoring the situation, of staying silent while her husband's name was dragged. Others suggested she knew more than she was letting on, and that her silence was protection, not ignorance. In one live session, A fan directly asked her about Remy, and Yandy froze for a moment before forcing a smile and changing the subject. That moment alone fueled 1,000 more rumors. Pap's public appearances dwindled even further. When he did step out, he wore a hollow expression, sunglasses hiding eyes that once carried pride and resilience. In one viral clip, a reporter asked him if he believed the rumors, and instead of answering, he simply walked away, his silence louder than words. Fans debated whether that walk away was strength or surrender. The psychological toll was undeniable. Those who knew Pop said he began questioning his worth. The story had gone beyond just a marriage. It became a spectacle, a reflection of how quickly love could turn into headlines, how loyalty could be mocked, and how silence, whether Remy's, Mendeecees, or even Pap's, could say more than words ever could. Pap's world now felt like it was collapsing brick by brick, with no clear way to rebuild. The once celebrated story of unwavering devotion had turned into a case study of how quickly public perception can twist, and how fragile an image can become when trust is questioned. In the days that followed, every small move was dissected. If Remy didn't wear her ring, blogs screamed it was over. If Pop skipped an appearance, fans whispered he couldn't face the shame. And when Mendeecees posted a photo of himself with nothing more than a cryptic caption saying, "Stay true," the internet went wild, interpreting it as a direct jab at Pap's unraveling. Pap's closest friends tried to rally around him, encouraging him to step away from the noise, but it was already too late. The pressure had carved deep lines into his confidence. One night, in what insiders described as one of his most vulnerable moments, Pop broke down, admitting, "I don't know who I am without her, without us." That confession revealed the depth of his struggle. The realization that his identity had been tied so tightly to the image of perfect loyalty that without it, he felt like a stranger to himself. Remy, on the other hand, seemed to embrace a new chapter. She was spotted with industry peers, laughing, glowing, as if she had decided to stop hiding behind silence and start living again. Her shift only fueled the narrative that Pop had become the one left behind, clinging to a past that no longer existed. Yet, fans were divided. Some accused her of being cold and ungrateful, while others argued she had carried the weight of the image for too long and had every right to move on. Mendeecees' presence remained the wild card. Although he never directly addressed the speculation, every sighting, every offhand comment, every pause in an interview was enough to keep the fire alive. Whether or not he played a direct role, the perception that he was entangled in Pop and Remy's downfall became undeniable. It was no longer about truth, but about the story people believed. And in the world of fame, the story often mattered more than reality. Pop's legacy now teetered between sympathy and ridicule. Fans who once saw him as the strongest man in hip-hop now debated whether his devotion had turned into obsession, whether his loyalty had blinded him to the cracks forming long before the world noticed. "He's fighting ghosts," one commentator said during a viral live stream. "Ghosts of his own making and ghosts the internet refuses to let die." But in the midst of the storm, Pop made one final move that shocked everyone. He sat down for an interview, his voice heavy but steady, and said, "I stood tall because I believed in love, and maybe that makes me a fool in some people's eyes. But I'd rather be a fool for love than a coward in silence." That statement instantly divided the internet again. Some applauded his honesty, calling it one of the realest confessions they'd ever heard, while others mocked him, saying he was still trapped in denial. The truth is, the saga of Pop, Remy, and Mendeecees had become larger than the people themselves. It was a reflection of loyalty, betrayal, pride, and the cruel stage of public opinion. The image had cracked, the story had shifted, and no matter what came next, things would never return to the way they once were. The final question lingered heavy in the air. Was Pap's downfall inevitable? Or was it engineered by the very people who claimed to love the story of him and Remy in the first place? And so, as the dust settles, we are left staring at one of the most shocking shifts in hip-hop relationship history. The story of Pop and Remy, once celebrated as the blueprint of loyalty and devotion, now stands in fragments, with Mendeecees' silent shadow only deepening the mystery. Was he truly just an innocent friend caught in the crossfire? Or was his role far greater than anyone wants to admit? Fans continue to argue, theories keep spinning, and the truth remains tangled in a web of half-answers and heavy emotions. But one thing is clear, this saga isn't finished. Every post, every appearance, every cryptic word from Pop, Remy, or Mendeecees has the power to spark another wave of speculation. The question is, how much more can Pop's image endure before it completely shatters? Can Remy ever step back into the role of the partner who stood beside him, Or has that chapter closed forever? And will Mendeecees finally break his silence, or continue to let the world guess his part in this chaos? We want to hear from you. Do you believe Pop can rebuild his image and reclaim the respect that seems to be slipping away? Or is this the beginning of a permanent fall from grace? Do you think Mendeecees had a deeper hand in this story than he's letting on? Or is he just an easy target for the internet to blame? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because your perspective matters. Don't forget to like this video if you're shocked by how far this has gone. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next explosive update. And hit that notification bell to stay ahead of the drama. Trust us, this story is only getting started, and you'll want to be here when the next twist unfolds.